The Raptors nearly pulled off an incredible win over the Denver Nuggets, but they snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. Let's go to the film room.
The only thing that's originally filmed is that and I've studied older films and tried to figure out how I got that impression. I was getting meetings right in the cutting room.
The unique thing about film is an art form
exactly.
is the editing.
Folks, the Raptors played an incredible game in which their starters, their starting five, won their minutes by 17 points in this one, and yet they still lost to the Denver Nuggets and Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. How did they do that? Simple mistakes in the fourth quarter. I thought the Raptors' three-point defense in the fourth quarter was pretty bad on these rotations. Just not as disciplined when it comes to getting out to shooters. As you watch here, Jamal Murray gets on this drive, and RJ Barrett is basically locked in on Spencer Jones, but this gives the opportunity for Bruce Brown to shake up to this area of the floor. RJ doesn't necessarily need to be here because Scotty Barnes as the backline defender is more than enough to cover for Spencer Jones here. And so, boom, draw, drive, Bruce Brown, wide open three. A little bit later, but Jamal Murray is feeling it at this point, and the Raptors want to apply as much pressure to him at the point of attack as possible. And so Jakob Poeltl is showing a little bit higher on this pick and roll. Spencer Jones just slips into the middle of the floor, and now this creates a lot of situations for the Raptors' weak side defenders because Cam Johnson and Tim Hardaway Jr. are on the weak side. This is like kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation for the Raptors. Because let's say Emmanuel quickly pops out here to help on Spencer Jones, then Spencer Jones is going to zip this past to Tim Hardaway Jr., and now Jacoby Walter will be responsible for either guarding him or guarding Cam Johnson. It's kind of a tough place to be. If, for some reason, it's Jacoby Walter who digs in here on this drive and steps up, then it creates an open opportunity for Cam Johnson. And so Emmanuel quickly has to attack here, and then that creates an opportunity for Tim Hardaway Jr. So again, damned if you do, damned if you don't type of situation because of Jamal Murray, but that's exactly what happens. So IQ steps up here, swing, corner three for Murray. Again, as you can see here, the ball pressure, how much they want to get the ball out of Jamal Murray's hands. Again, he was incredible to start this fourth quarter. So boom, double team. Raptors trying to recover from that double team. Bruce Brown with the three-point shot. Because it's a scrambling defense now, right? Because there's just not as much opportunities for the Raptors to get back into a set defense. It creates an offensive rebound, long shot, long rebound. That means Tim Hardaway Jr. for three. Like here, RJ Barrett very clearly has the rebound. He has to get this over Bruce Brown. That's just unacceptable. Loses his man, Hardaway three again. And the Raptors were just really poor on their screen navigation, particularly RJ Barrett here in the fourth quarter. Late clutch situation here. And so RJ automatically concedes the switch, but actually Jakob thinks it's a switch. RJ comes out to help. Again, perhaps this is RJ thinking it's going to be a double team anyways. And truthfully, this is another issue. Brandon Ingram as the low man does not jump out to this quick enough. And so really lackadaisical effort as the low man forces the and one call. That is like a terrible defensive possession in the clutch from a few different angles. And one of the biggest gripes I had with the Raptors throughout this game was just how easily they were conceding switches. Now, truthfully, and Joe Wolfon mentioned this to me on Twitter too, I agree with him. You're going to have to concede some switches against the Nuggets just because of how incredible both Jokic and Jamal Murray are. It's about the effort in these situations to me. Like RJ just gets killed on the screen from Jokic. And again, Jokic, very good screener. But I would like for him to fight through this a little bit more because now you're in a situation where it's 115, 13 seconds left on the shot clock. You need to get a stop. And it's RJ Barrett guarding Nikola Jokic. Just a tough situation to be in. You would rather have Scotty Barnes, your best player, do that. But it's tough. Like that is a tough situation to put yourself in because you concede the switch. And that's an automatic bucket. This segment is a presentation of Lotto Max. Calling all Raptors fans, Lotto Max and the Raptors have officially launched their Max Contract Fan Contest, where one winner will be given the chance to call the shots and personalize their own prize pack worth $50,000 Canadian. What prizes can you choose from? How about 2026-2027 season tickets or courtside tickets to 5 games next season, or a chance to attend all home playoff games this year? Visit the Raptors app to learn more and enter today. And don't forget to opt into our emails and hear about future chances to win. No purchase necessary, 18 plus, Ontario only, ends March 29th, 2026. Grand prize winner to select one prize from each of Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3. Visit the Toronto Raptors app for full contest rules, prize details, and how to enter. And that is why the Raptors lost that game, folks, as we welcome you inside the film room. It was an awesome game. I show you the reasons they lost because I am going to jump very quickly into what was a great game for the Raptors. I'm not really into doing moral victory stuff. The Raptors are 5th in the Eastern Conference. They should be winning games. It's not about moral victories anymore. But I will say that because this Raptors team has struggled to beat good teams all season, and because overall they've had some good victories here recently against the Pistons, against the Suns, whatever, I do think games like this are a step in the right direction as far as process goes. As I mentioned to start this show off, the Raptors starters were plus 17 in their 17 minutes played in this game. And if you look at their rotation, once again, Brandon Ingram, 35 minutes, Scotty Barnes, 38 minutes, Jakob Poeltl, 35 minutes, RJ Barrett, 33 minutes, Emmanuel Quickley, 33 minutes. And then you look at their bench, which only 4 bench players played for them tonight. Mamu, 14 minutes. Jacoby Walter, 23 minutes. Jamal Shed, 21 minutes. And Jamison Battle with 5.5 minutes. Their rotation is tightening as this season progresses. And I think that's important because Darko Rajakovic has mentioned it to us before that the rest of this season is going to have a playoff atmosphere to it. The rest of the season is going to be approached with a level of playoff intensity, both when it comes to adjustments, how they're treating games, how they're treating matchups, etc., etc. You are seeing the Raptors go through the motions of what they would look like in a playoff setting. And if they look like they did tonight, they'll look pretty damn good, y'all. Like they played very, very good basketball for most of this game. But against the Denver Nuggets, against truthfully, like one of the best offensive players of all time in Nikola Jokic, and Jamal Murray, who is having, in my opinion, like an all-NBA level season. Murray tonight had 31 points on 18 shots. He went 9 of 10 from the free throw line. He was truly incredible at getting the Nuggets back into this game at the end of the third quarter and at the start of the fourth quarter. Murray was a big part, a big catalyst to what the Nuggets were trying to do. And I believe the Raptors led by 11 points at one point in this game, and that was in the third quarter where they really imposed themselves offensively. That third quarter from the Raptors was truly special. It was awesome to watch this team fire on all cylinders, and I bring up that starter number, plus 17 in 17 minutes, because their starting group is really good when they are all firing. And I mentioned this in my previous show, when it comes to the superhero comps, where I was like, Jakob Poeltl is Colossus and RJ Barrett is Juggernaut and whatever, what have you. We could probably do a whole episode on that, to be honest with you. But I think there is something to be said about why every single one of those Raptors, the starters particularly, provide a specific skill for this team that when added together, that when kind of grouped together, they're freaking marvelous. And let's break that down. Let's talk about the starters and why they're so good as a group together. All right, let's start off with RJ Barrett. He was great in this game offensively. He had 18 points on 14 shots. I thought overall his ability to get to the basket was really great against this lackluster Nuggets team defensively. And so as you see here, RJ Barrett attacks this closeout. What a great job of using that last step, like the finishing touches on this drive to turn the corner and finish. It's so tough to stop that offensively. More good stuff from RJ here. Dribble handoff with Emmanuel Quickley, and then he just attacks Jamal Murray on this switch. Just bully ball, uses the contact and physicality, and won. Incredible strength by RJ there offensively. Skill number 2 is Brandon Ingram in that mid-post area and what he provides offensively. And I want to note to you guys just how well the Raptors are moving off of BI in the mid-post in this specific action, and it leads to a Brandon Ingram duck. RJ Barrett cuts weak side. Emmanuel quickly here above the break, and it's hard for Jamal Murray to help off of him. Jakob Poeltl roaming, and Scotty Barnes here on the weak side. Now watch as they move. So Jakob cuts, clearing the lane for Brandon Ingram. Jamal Murray has to contain between Brandon and IQ. Watch the cut, the weak side cut from Scotty Barnes into the dunker spot as well to engage the help defenders. And now this creates an opportunity for Brandon Ingram to drive this lane. This is creating an opportunity for him to get a little bit easier of a shot. And so as you see here, good strong side cut from Emmanuel quickly as well to make sure that Jamal Murray has to help off, and boom, driving lane opens up, and that's a dunk. And of course, there's also Scotty Barnes in the mid-post as well. That is another weapon for this Toronto Raptors team, and it's because, one, Scotty can abuse these mismatches, and he did this a little bit later in the game that we'll get into. Scotty can hunt out these mismatches, and now the defense has to help in these situations, which creates passing opportunities like this one, an absolute beauty of a pass by one of the best passers in the NBA right now. There's also the pick and roll craft of Brandon Ingram, kind of lulling his defenders to sleep and working in this mid-range area to create shots other players on the Raptors just can't. Like I said, Scotty Barnes in the mismatch, but I want you to notice Emmanuel quickly here. IQ's job on offense is to move as much as he possibly can. And so here he kind of shakes to the corner, cuts to the other weak side corner, and as Scotty Barnes drives, he makes himself open, makes himself aware, and then just settles into this pump fake, three-point shot, cash. IQ's job is perhaps one of the hardest on this team because he constantly has to move. He has to work within the seams of the offense. He has to be this off-ball creator, and he also has to try a lot on defense. It requires a lot of cardio, a lot of endurance. Shout out to IQ. He had a really great game tonight too, 15 points on 6 of 11 shooting. And in semi-transition, Emmanuel quickly is really important for this Raptors team because, again, look at him making himself open as a shooter. Watch as he shakes up. You see that movement that he did to above the break to make it a little bit easier for Brandon Ingram to make this pass. And so, boom, catch, attack the closeout, and then the nice lob pass to Jakob for the finish. And Jakob, by the way, who was incredible tonight, he had 23 points on 14 shots along with 11 rebounds, 5 of them offensive. Yak is such a great big target for this Raptors team. He can finish anything in and around that basket. Just watch how seamless all of these coverages are for the Raptors. So they switch this pick and roll. Jakob Poeltl picks up. Help comes on the way. Jakob was incredibly mobile in this game, by the way. Really good job of moving his feet. And watch as the defensive rotation is on a string here off of this double. Brandon Ingram helps. RJ Barrett closes out to the corner. Then Jakob Poeltl gets back into the paint, steps up on this drive, and then IQ is there on the weak side. Again, Jakob in the gaps. IQ does a great job of walling off this drive, and they close out the defensive possession with a rebound. That is excellent defense from the Raptors. It's possible, folks. And again, in transition, a really great job by Jakob Poeltl, as you see here. Watch him as he fills this lane, draws the double, boom, great job. I loved when Scotty Barnes was an orchestrator in this game. He had 8 assists. Again, using the ability of hunting out these mismatches. So Murray on him, help, attention, everything is on Scotty Barnes. Boom, beautiful pass to Jakob Poeltl, who nice push shot as always. And Scotty Barnes can do it on this side of the floor too. So Scotty in the post, working against Jokic one-on-one, blocks this shot at the precipice, then pushes it in transition. Raptors are driving. Boom, Mama with the drive. Jacoby Walter, weak side, corner 3, splash. And Jacoby was awesome in this game. He had 4 of his 5 threes. Jacoby has been massive for this Raptors team over the last couple of games. Again, I mentioned it in the last one, but he continues to be a developmental win for this Raptors team. If he continues to knock down his shots at this level, Jacoby is truly a big part of this Raptors team moving forward, no question. It really is worth noting how Brandon Ingram is able to settle the Raptors into games in the fourth quarter. Raptors, they got caught on some three-point shooting, especially in the clutch. It's 107-101. At this point in the game, at least 2, 3 weeks ago, they wither away, but BI's shot making in this stretch was really huge. Watch here. Again, Scotty Barnes creating stuff, drive, dump off to Jakob, and then Brandon Ingram closes it out with the 3-point shot. Huge shot making stretch for the Raptors. I really love Scotty Barnes' process, especially in the fourth quarter of attacking these mismatches. Chris Brown on him, no problem, settling into that mid-range jump shot. And then boom, they create the switch automatically. Now it's Jamal Murray on him. Defense has to help. Jokic is there. Nice little dump off pass to Jakob for the and one finish. And that's why the Raptors starters are so good, folks. That is exactly why the Raptors starters are so great when they play together as a group. And it's truly like they are figuring it out on the fly. And a lot of that is because of Jakob Poeltl. He completes this team in such a major way, again, with his screening ability, but also just being a big target, being a guy who can crash the offensive glass, generate more offensive possessions for the Raptors. It seems to be, the same things are ailing them, right? 3-point shooting. The Raptors were 10 of 31 from three. Nuggets were 14 of 30. They hit some clutch threes in the fourth quarter. Defensive rebounding also hurt them in this game, especially in that fourth quarter. The margins become tight against these good teams. And I think that ultimately comes down to, truthfully, like, how are you going to close out games process-wise? I thought the Raptors' process was pretty good. Brandon Ingram's shot making, Scotty Barnes, the mismatch hunting, it was there all game. Leaning into that in the fourth quarter makes sense to me. And then when it comes to how they can flow off of each other, I truthfully think a lot of that has to do with like defensive execution and figuring out how you can get stops when it matters the most. Because especially against the Nuggets team, and when I'm thinking about it moving forward to the playoffs, like, how are you going to stop James Harden and Jared Allen in pick and roll situations? How are you going to stop Donovan Mitchell on the weak side attacking a closeout? How are you going to stop a Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Peyton Pritchard-led offensive team? How do you stop Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns in pick and rolls? Like, the Raptors will have to inevitably pick their poison in some direction defensively because they don't have a lot of perfect defenders. Scotty Barnes is a great defender. Jacoby Walter is a good defender. Jamal Shed in certain matchups can be a fine defender. Emmanuel quickly tries really hard on that end. I think it actually has looked good as of late, especially off of the ball. Jakob Poeltl provides them a level of size, but how does this Raptors team concede and compete against the best teams offensively on the defensive side of the ball? I think that's the biggest question for them. Of course, their half-court issues and their limit or ceiling as a team offensively will always impact them, but that's sort of baked into what this roster is. Coming into this season, I don't think anybody assumed this Raptors team would be very, very good offensively. They are hanging their hat on the defensive end, and the Raptors need to figure out a way to be an elite defense against elite offenses. They need to be able to get stops when it matters in clutch situations against good offenses. And the Nuggets are a very good offense. So the answer comes, truthfully, if you're thinking of the rest of this season, how do the Raptors get stops against good teams? That is the main question for the postseason, in my opinion. But we'll see how they do. Again, this was, in my opinion, a very fun game, an awesome game to watch and to cover. The question that comes for this Raptors team moving forward is, hey, can they continue to build on these type of like, I don't know, I don't want to call them moral victories, but the type of efforts that prove that the concept is there for them to be able to beat good teams, sort of like a blueprint to how you're supposed to approach these type of games from an effort level, from a consistency level, from this is 48 minutes of basketball. We need to play 48 minutes of good hoops to win against these very good teams. And oh, by the way, in a playoff series, you got to do that 4 times. So that's the cool part about this type of stuff. I think it's actually, I've kind of been saying this a lot over this last month, but it's good that the Raptors are in this position. I would much rather this than the tankathon, kind of like wishing for this team to lose to drop lottery balls type of situation. Being in a situation where you are seeing the marginal growth of this team, the developmental wins here and there, and also figuring out how to win as a group and what is required to get to that next step. That's what this is all about, man. That's what basketball is about. That's what sports is about. That's what's beautiful about this game. Anyways, I'm getting a little too poetic. I'm done here. As always, guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Do the things that you guys usually do to make sure Raptors Republic gets out to most people who would be interested in the Raptors. Who do the Raptors play next? They play the Phoenix Suns. Should be an interesting game. That team is now losers of 4 in a row. They've been sliding since they lost to the Raptors in Toronto. We'll see if they can handle business. We'll see if the Raptors can. Appreciate you guys. Peace.